just really making a mess of Steele's face, and Steele goes out of the ring, down on.
When giants collide, the world holds its breath. Combat sports has always been the stage where courage, strength, and endurance are tested beyond ordinary limits. But when the ring is shared by towering titans whose size and power stretch the imagination, the spectacle takes on a mythical quality. Every punch carries the weight of a sledgehammer. Every fall shakes the canvas like an earthquake, and every victory becomes the stuff of legend. This is not merely competition. It is the clash of modern-day gladiators, where survival, pride, and legacy are forged in the fire of battle. The opening of our journey takes us to the meeting of two unlikely characters, where appearance often deceives and raw aggression can overpower even the most carefully crafted skill. Daniel Lv, a fighter whose pot-bellied physique led many to underestimate him, stepped into the ring with Khadiz Ibragimov, a man bred for combat and built like a predator. ELV's aggression was undeniable, a fury that seemed to spill out the moment the bell rang. His style was relentless, the kind of forward pressure that tried to smother his opponent before rhythm could be found. Yet aggression without precision is a double-edged sword. Ibragimov, cold and calculating, weathered the storm and soon found his mark. His jab, sharp as a spear, pierced through ELV's defenses. The blow sent the heavier man tumbling, shaking the ring with the force of his fall. As if destiny demanded it, Ibragimov followed with an overhand strike, cutting down ELV's advance and defending not only his pride but the honor of the heavyweight division itself. It was a brutal reminder that size alone is not salvation. Skill and timing can topple even the most aggressive of men, but the story of giants does not end with one bout. For elsewhere, another battle loomed that seemed to pit immovable mass against unbreakable will. Mariusz Panowski, the Polish colossus and five-time holder of the title, World's Strongest Man, entered the arena like a mountain of muscle and iron. Opposite him stood Mio Mata, the challenger who dared to test this embodiment of raw strength. From the opening exchanges, it was clear that Panowski wanted more than distance. He sought to close the gap, to impose his power in the most direct way possible. Mata fought with the heart of a warrior, circling and striking. But when muscle collides with endurance, the body often falters. Panowski's strikes rained down like weighted hammers, and when the decisive moment arrived, Mata was sent crashing into unconsciousness. Medical teams swarmed to his side, unsure if the pale blue tint on his body came from the thunderous strikes, or his inked tattoos. The image of Mata lying still beneath the lights served as a chilling reminder, against a man forged of stone and steel. Every mistake could be fatal. The saga of titans pressed forward, this time in the form of Timur and Denis Neskovsky. They were giants not just in body, but in myth, men whose towering frames stretched the limits of human engineering. They entered the cage like behemoths, sculpted in some hidden laboratory, as if man had pushed too far into the realm of gods. Their bout was not a graceful dance of technique, but a savage collision of force. Slashing unleashed a flurry of shots that would have broken ordinary fighters, yet Neskovsky's jaw might as well have been forged from vibranium itself. Each strike landed, yet the man refused to yield, his skull absorbing punishment that seemed unimaginable. Round after round, they traded blows, their bodies absorbing trauma that would have folded lesser men. And then, with a suddenness that silenced the arena, Neskovsky unleashed his long-saved power. His fist, charged with the stored energy of every endured strike, landed with the precision of destiny. Slashing crumbled, his monstrous body collapsing under the weight of one perfect punch. It was the kind of ending that cemented Neskovsky as more than a fighter. He became a figure of myth, the warrior who withstood hell only to deliver a single blow that turned the tide of war. But giants are not only men. In Brazil, one woman defied conventions and redefined what it meant to be a warrior. Gabi Garcia, a towering force of muscle and will, had the opportunity to chase crowns of beauty but instead chose the crown of combat. Her physique, sculpted like a super soldier, made her a figure of awe and intimidation. Across from her stood Destiny Yarrow, nicknamed D-Train, a woman determined to derail Garcia's unstoppable momentum. Yet when the stare-down began, the outcome already felt written. Garcia towered over her opponent, a living embodiment of power, her gaze sharp and unyielding. When the fight commenced, Garcia wasted no time in asserting her dominance. Her strikes crashed down like steel beams, and her grappling suffocated Yarrow beneath her immense frame. From full mount to submission attempts, Garcia showcased that she was not simply power without purpose. She was discipline, control, and sheer willpower combined. Yarrow fought valiantly, but Garcia was relentless, and soon, the Brazilian colossus stood victorious, her legacy as the She-Hulk of combat sports firmly cemented. To stand against her was to challenge nature itself, and few could hope to endure the threat of titanic battles wound next. Into a contest that felt plucked from the pages of legend. Islam Yakuza Vagabov, a man whose very name carried whispers of ruthless cunning, stood opposite Nikita, the Viking Botan, a fighter steeped in the imagery of Norse gods. Respect marked their early exchanges, yet respect is fragile in the crucible of combat. Yakuza struck first with dishonor, delivering a blow to the back of the head that shattered the fragile truce. He taunted, mocked, and celebrated prematurely, drawing venom from the crowd. Yet fate has a way of balancing scales. In the second round, the Viking called upon the spirit of his ancestors, gathering the fury of Odin himself. With patience exhausted and honor-stained, Botan unleashed Ragnarok. In the form of a single devastating punch, Yakuza collapsed. His reign of mockery ended in an instant, his body carried away as though swept into Helheim. The arena roared not just for victory, but for justice. For the triumph of valor over deceit. From Europe to Asia, the story of giants continued with one of the most infamous figures in combat sports, Bob Sapp, the monstrous man whose frame seemed designed to intimidate entire nations. His opponent, a Chinese fighter named Aori, carried none of Sapp's grotesque muscle mass, but bore the quiet confidence of a man who knew his fists could tell the truth. Their fight became a spectacle of archetypes, brute force against unlikely courage. The predator against the seemingly outmatched Sapp postured with arrogance, threatening to destroy his opponent before the bell even rang. But once the fight began, it was Aori who unleashed fury. Like a storm breaking across a mountain, he battered Sapp with relentless strikes, proving that size and steroids could not overcome heart and speed. In a scene that seemed plucked from a fable, the smaller man toppled the giant, punishing Sapp, not just for underestimating him, but for every fighter who had suffered at the hands of arrogance. The crowd erupted, witnessing once again that giants could fall, and that courage often hides behind the most unassuming faces. Yet perhaps the most dramatic of these titanic clashes came in the battle between Asan May, an Iranian fighter who fashioned himself as the steroid-enhanced twin of Conor McGregor, and David Kazarian, a man who carried neither the flash nor the arrogance, but an iron resolve. May strutted with pride, confident that his physique and bravado would be enough to dominate, but bravado is a fragile shield in the ring. When the fight commenced, May attempted to channel the dominance of McGregor, but Kazarian would not bend. He absorbed, he countered, and then he turned the fight with sheer grit. In a reversal that stunned the crowd, Kazarian mounted May, raining down punishment as the arrogant fighter struggled beneath him. Strike after strike landed, each one a reminder that imitation cannot replace authenticity. By the time the doctor stepped in to halt the bout, May was broken not just in body but in spirit. Kazarian stood tall, proving that true warriors are not forged by steroids or by mimicry, but by resilience, skill, and unshakable will. And so, as we trace the echoes of these colossal battles, we see a common thread weaving through the tapestry of combat sports. Whether it is the reckless aggression of Daniel Elvey falling to the precision of Ibrahimov, the raw power of Panowski crushing Mata, the mythic endurance of Naskovsky outlasting Slashing, the dominance of Gabi Garcia overwhelming Destiny, the Vikings' righteous fury striking down Yakuza's treachery, Aori's courage dismantling the monstrous Bob Sapp, or Kazarian's resolve humbling the arrogance of Asan Mage fight tells the same timeless story. The story of giants who rise, clash, and fall, leaving behind more than broken bones and bruised flesh. They leave behind legacies, lessons, and the eternal truth that in the ring, nothing is guaranteed. Every titan, no matter how fearsome, is one punch away from collapse. Every underdog, no matter how unlikely, is one strike away from immortality. This, then, is the essence of combat sports at its most primal. Not the careful chess of strategy alone, nor the quiet precision of technique, but the thunderous roar of giants colliding. For those who witness it, the memory lingers long after the lights dim and the crowd disperses. These are the battles that remind us why we watch, why we cheer, and why we cannot look away when giants collide inside the ring.